Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Monday. Brian Kamenetzky, Andy Kamenetzky. Lakers send a huge statement to the Thunder and the NBA. They win the first half of this semi back-to-back thing, 126-99. Huge performances up and down. Great afternoon. We'll talk about it next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday. No matter how or where you get your podcasts, this one's always free. Of course, never, ever behind a paywall. We wouldn't do that to you. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out with over 34,000 subscribers, Andy, all of whom are wondering if they will ever get a birthday gift as nice as the one that the Lakers gave you on Sunday on your birthday. 126-99, the Lakers win. I was so excited about this game, Andy, that I blew right through our channel guidance about how long those cold opens are supposed to be. I just kept talking. I was so excited. This episode, Andy, people should know, is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. But, I mean, if you're going to get excited, how about going into Oklahoma City and blowing out the best team in the Western Conference by 27 points in a game that they controlled throughout?
This is about as well as the Lakers have played all season on both sides of the ball, the execution offensively, defensively. And then when you take into account the stakes this late in the season in terms of them trying to maintain at minimum top four status, get at least one round of home court, maximum try to maintain the third seed. And also this game and Tuesday are their opportunities to see how they match up against the Thunder. You know, this new look version of themselves, actually seeing what it's like against this Thunder team that, make no mistake, after today, they are still a great, really strong opponent. Just, we're going to try to say as many good things as possible about this team over the next 30-ish minutes, but it would be damn hard to really compliment them on all the levels deserved, because they were just terrific this afternoon. I mean, it was insane across the board. Great performances.
They finished 22 of 40 from 3-point range. That obviously does not fully explain the shooting. I think they were 15 of their first 20 from 3-point range. Obviously, that is going to distort, your offensive performance. It's going to make things look better than maybe they actually. But if it were only that, and that was the only thing that they won 126-122, and then you look back and say, my God, they shot the lights out and they won by 4. You look at this game differently, but the defense was insanely good throughout. And Andy, we've talked about it. We have waited to see kind of big games, and obviously he's had good moments with the Lakers already, but like this was an example of Luka Doncic looking like, Luka Doncic in a game of great significance. He finishes with 30 points, 11 of 20 from the floor, 5 of 11 from 3-point range, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, part of this great defensive effort. And we noted going into this game, the offense and the Lakers look different when Luka is efficient, and particularly when he gets off to good starts. He was both of those things on Sunday.
We talked about after the win on Friday against the zombie Pelicans, like obviously
the Zelicans,
the Pelicans, the Pella shouldn'ts, like obviously putting up those type of numbers against the Pelicans, you have to contextually acknowledge what it is to score against that team. But our hope had been Luka, after a rough first quarter, was really good for the rest of that game offensively, very efficient for the rest of the game offensively. He put up 23 on 7 of 9 shooting in the second half. And our hope was this represents some rhythm for Luka moving forward into this game on Sunday. Both of us take notes during the game. Luka hits his first step back attempt in this game. And in my notes, I wrote good sign, ? And then once he hit another step back over Isaiah Hartenstein. Both of his opening 2 step backs were over Hartenstein. I'm like, okay, this is starting to look good. And then before you even realize it, Luka is just emptying the bag in this game. Like all of his moves inside, outside, circus shots, hesitation dribbles, step backs, spins, everything was on display in this game. Luka was just putting on a Luka Doncic clinic. He was phenomenal in this
and
game.
it was one of those games too where like the passing was super high level. That always is. That has not slumped.
Just ask Gabe Vincent.
Right. That's what I was getting. But that, like, in Redick referred to one of these moments in the post game, the hitting the Smith. JJ, no NBA head coach loves using insider basketball terminology more than JJ Redick. So he was talking about hitting the smash, which in this case was Gabe Vincent in the corner, and he's like, it's everywhere. And that was the play that you'll see on Sports. And if you watch it in real time, Andy, it looked like a glitch in like the space-time fabric, because Luka's going up and you see the ball go backwards and you're wondering, like, how did that happen?
It's almost like a carry on a shot, the way like a carrying the illegal dribble carry.
Sure, he
like the way he was spinning his hand around.
I don't know what he did, but he tore a tiny hole in the space-time continuum, and it led to a Gabe Vincent 3. And he's it was just I still don't think he's 100% healthy and all these other things, but in terms of getting more of the performance that shows you what was kind of what he is capable of, what it looks like in these big moments, that was it. And then you start going down the line, and the balance for the Lakers was really there. Austin Reeves was very strong, particularly again in the first half, and the Lakers built up a significant lead. He finishes with 20 points. LeBron kind of cruised to 19-7. And Rui was good. Dorian Finney-Smith had 4 3-pointers off the bench, and Gabe Vincent had 4 3-pointers off the bench. It was just this game from an offensive standpoint. The shot creation was excellent. There was a tremendous amount of good looks that were created. I forget which was the Indiana game where they had something like this, where it was just like boom, 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 and then you just like it, and wow, every one of these shots is a good looking shot. And what they did on Sunday was then they turned around and made all of those. Like,
I want to quickly address a comment from Alice Barley in the comments section. As always, we encourage everybody to be active, leave comments, try to use them in the show. Luka never went away. Media want him to wonder what makes you happy. This is a 5-man game. I just hate when I hear generational talent. Do you think everyone can slam on him? Look, Luka said after the New Orleans win that first quarter was, I believe he said, the worst quarter of his career. Luka has said after a few of these games that his efficiency was not there, whether win or loss, because it's come up in both. There's no excuse for me playing this well. I have to be better. It's unacceptable. We are holding Luka to Luka's standards. Like, we're not trying to nitpick at everything that he does. You and I certainly have not been, whatever media has been slamming him for conditioning or whatever stuff, that isn't us. But at the same time, superstars are held to exceptionally high standards because they are superstars, and the ones holding them to those standards forget what people like Brian and I or whoever else in the media, whatever standard we hold them to, this is the standard they hold themselves to. So if we gloss over games where Luka is clearly struggling from the field, we're just doing dishonest coverage of the game. Like, and
you're right.
You guys have eyes. You can watch what's going on.
We don't take shots at players, but we also don't, we're not here to be their PR people either. Like, Luka doesn't need us to be his PR people.
No,
he is. What we were talking about was and remains when we're not talking about a bunch of 47% things. Why isn't he shooting 56%? he's had 5 or 6 games of the last 10. I think it is 5 games of the last 10 where he was under 40%.
Right.
Like, that's not good. And, it limits the upside that the Lakers have. And it limits the upside that the offense has, because this is Luka Doncic's offense. And so they need him to round into form. And, this is basically kind of what it looks like. And, but what gets you excited too is it's when you see the offense operate this way and you see Luka looking, at least today, physically more comfortable and seeming like he was a little bit more dialed in that way. As JJ said, these big games, these big situations have a way of doing that for the most talented players in the league. You start to again see what the possibilities are, because they still have LeBron as a shot creator, and they still have Austin Reeves as a shot creator. And those guys are getting the ball in advantageous positions to do things. And then the shots that trickle down to Dorian Finney-Smith, to Gabe Vincent, are pristine. So we'll talk about a little bit more about that, Andy, but the star of the show really was LA's defense on Sunday. And so that's where we're going to go next.
Locked On Lakers is brought to you by Monarch Money. You ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money
every day
go? Constantly, just constantly. Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, and everything, it's easy to lose track. And that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is not just a budgeting app. It is a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, spending, all in one place, so you can stop just managing your money. You can start building wealth. You can enjoy convenience instead of juggling multiple apps. It's streamlined, and you can use Monarch to check your finances, track your spending, even plan long-term goals, and you can enjoy collaboration. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances like the Lakers took control of the Thunder today with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year.
Andy, it's one thing to put up numbers against a team like Oklahoma City. They shot the lights out. It's like, okay, you're Oklahoma. They're not going to do that twice, whatever. But the part that is really impressive is how they shut down the Thunder, who are an excellent offensive team, for 4 quarters. It was a consistent 4-quarter effort. It is aided by the offense. You're constantly setting your defense, all that kind of stuff. They didn't turn the ball over, whatever. They were really good defensively, really good. All of them. Rui Hachimura might have been the best defensive performance I've ever seen from him.
There's a lot of different areas where we can talk about the defense, but to me, and this jumped out at me, and I tweeted about this multiple times during the game, beginning, I don't know, maybe 6 minutes left in the first half. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had not taken a free throw attempt. Then third quarter ends. Shai has not taken a free throw attempt. Game ends. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 0 free throw attempts. I have no idea how many times that's happened this season over the last couple of years, but I can promise you not many. And yes, Shai still had 26. And yes, he was still pretty efficient from the field and getting those 26 points because he's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 26 points, 12 of 23 from the field, 2 of 5 from behind the arc, just 1 turnover. There's a reason that he is, I think, considered the front runner for MVP. But he didn't get the cheap points. And not getting those cheap points is a big, big reason that OKC was never really able to chip away at this lead. Like the Lakers did a great job, I think, of making Shai take hard shots. It did not feel like he was just owning them, because I think if he was just owning them, that's where he ends up at the line more. And I would not be surprised at all if that was one of the big things that JJ and the staff told the Lakers: make him work, do not foul him. and you're eliminating, I mean, in this particular game, they won by so much it doesn't matter, but you are eliminating 7 to 10 points for Shea just by not sending him to the line. So there's a bunch of different things we can talk about.
He averages 9 free throws a game.
Right. And he's a really good free throw shooter. So just that in and of itself, I think encapsulates just how good the defense was for the Lakers today.
Yeah. And the Lakers, I saw a great number. I think it was from our friend Jason Tim, who has a great, what network is that?
Hoops Tonight, part of the Colin Cowherd Volume Network. That was the part I couldn't come up with. And so he had a note of, because there was somebody who was complaining about the Lakers free throw differential. And he noted that since Luka's been on the team, that has actually evened out considerably, despite the fact the Lakers added a player who gets to the line a lot in Luka. And in this game, the Lakers went to the line 17 times, but they kept New Orleans off the line. And that was the big thing, other than Jalen Williams, who went 8 times. Kept the Thunder off the line, not New Orleans. OKC.
I'm sorry. Yeah. The only I'm stuck in the past. The only other person.
Well, that was a big win on Friday over those Pelicans, man. It's hard not to get
originally
wrapped up.
It was a long time ago, New Orleans that became the Thunder. So I'm just again stuck in 19 years ago.
Yeah. I can
right. And so, but like Aaron Wiggins was the only other guy who got to the line. And so for the Lakers, who have been more foul prone, in the post Luka era, that is a big number, keeping a team like New Orleans off the line. And so that is indicative of the kind of defense that they played. And look, in the first half, I will note the Thunder are not if they have a weakness as a team, it's perimeter shooting. They actually shot the ball pretty well in the first half. The Thunder did. They made some threes early to keep it close and all that kind of stuff. So, the Lakers were way over the level, but the Thunder were hitting more shots than they often do. And what the way they played in this game reminded me a lot of what the Knick game looked like, a few weeks ago in New York, where that was one of the first games. That was the game where they really frustrated Towns with how they defended him. And you started to see the roots of this defensive level that they were at and how they could defend bigger players. And just the activity there and the quickness and the anticipation. Redick talked about this after the game. The way they read what Oklahoma City was doing and responded quickly, that to me was really impressive.
Yeah, you talked about Rui and the defense he played in this game. There were a few possessions where he ended up on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. There was one of them where he was really disciplined, did not bite on a single up fake or pump fake, anything like that. And it led to Shai having to give up the ball to, I believe, Kenrich Williams. And it led to a missed 3 to beat the clock. There was another time where he forced a miss on SGA in space, and then Rui hustled to get the defensive rebound. There was a play where he got back from, I don't remember exactly why he had been the last guy. I think he had been closest to a missed basket for the Lakers, so he was the furthest from the play, but he ran back in and deflected what was supposed to be setting up a pass for a 3, deflected it out of bounds, and then on the ensuing dead ball play, Vando challenged SGA into a missed jumper. Vando had a bunch of different great defensive moments. Just everybody was scrambling everywhere. There was also, I thought, it might seem subtle to some people, but I think it's a big deal. JJ, with Rui back, tweaked the rotation. Remember we had talked about before the Luka and the Banshees lineup, which we've seen at times, which is Luka, Vando, DFS, Gabe, and Jordan Goodwin, which on one hand gives you a lot of defense to support Luka and some shooting, but it's not particularly dynamic. Today is not necessarily a great example of it because DFS and Gabe combined for 26 points off the bench. They both hit 4 threes. And honestly, when those guys have an outside shot going, the Lakers are going to be really damn hard to beat. But JJ kept Rui out there with 3 of the 4 Banshees and Luka. And then
3 of the 4 Banshees.
I don't remember which. Oh, Vando was the lone Banshee not out there, because then towards the end of the first quarter, LeBron and Vando checked in for Rui and Jordan Goodwin. So it was never a series of possessions or like a long stretch where it was Luka having to generate that much offense by himself. Because if you got Luka, by the way, the Banshees, that's what JJ calls them. Just I'm seeing a few people commenting in case anybody doesn't know what I'm referencing. He calls, Goodwin and Vando and DFS Vincent just like his balls to the walls defenders. He calls them the Banshees. But like having one other guy out there that represents a full offensive threat with Luka, I think makes such a big difference. And remember, that was why we were talking about maybe you need to insert Dalton Connect back into the rotation just to offset that. But the other way is just tweak the rotation. I thought that was great by JJ.
Yeah, it makes a big difference too. And when now that Goodwin's, particularly his perimeter shot, has kind of cooled off a little bit, to add that to add that offensive presence back in. But you can do that, and you can feel confident in that when Rui is moving and playing and anticipating like they did. And the other thing that happens to it, because like Luka is an interesting defender in the sense that he's got that rep of like, oh, he's a terrible. No, he's not. What he is if you can isolate Luka and hunt for him and put him on an island, okay, yeah, you got the right guy on him that you can beat him one-on-one. But what he can do is he's very good in passing lanes. That he sees exactly what the other team is doing. And if the structure around Luka is good, he jumps in passing lanes, he deflects a lot of passes, he's where he's supposed to be and all that kind of stuff. And so like some of it is engagement, but some of it's the engagement of the team around him. And they showed again on Sunday the capacity to really defend well, that regardless of the personnel, when they were playing at the top level of that defense, where they were the best defense in the league for 5 weeks or 5.5 weeks, whatever it was, floor combinations didn't matter. It didn't matter if Anthony Davis was available, hurt, or a Maverick. Like they were able to do it with anybody that they had on the floor. That's what this game reminded me of. This was a huge game, Andy, not just for the psychology of the team and the confidence of the team, but for the Western Conference standings. So we'll poke around at that and look ahead to Tuesday and Wednesday this week. Next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are almost here. Yeah, they are. And FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, if you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. So look for something incredibly obvious. Put down $5. Boom, there's your $250 in bonus bets. And I love how FanDuel makes betting easy, whether it's picking your favorite team or diving into player props, from three-pointers to steals to assists. FanDuel has so many different ways to bet your favorite player props. And after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win even bigger. Do not miss out. Head to FanDuel.com to claim your $250 in bonus bets today.
So many people, Andy, subscribe to the show via iTunes. That is the best way to have the show. The audio delivered to you just shows up in your podcast feed. Maybe you're a Spotify guy. You can do it the same way there. People are watching, and nearly 700 people watching right now on YouTube, the live show on YouTube, which we certainly appreciate. But a lot of people, they say, well, how can I continue to really enjoy a victory like this? And what I always tell them is, what you really want is mail. You want to get mail sent to you, particularly digitally. And that's what the newsletter is. You go to lockedondaily.com, you click on Locked On Lakers, and you get the Locked On Lakers newsletter delivered to you 5 days a week. And if you subscribe to it right now, if you go there and you subscribe to it, you can do us a solid, because they're actually running a contest.
Yes.
Win. We want to win. The Lakers win things, and Lakers podcasters win things. And whoever gets the most organic subscribers to the news, I'm not sure I'm supposed to be this nakedly transparent about
it. No. We want to win.
We win.
Okay?
If people subscribe to the newsletter, Andy and I win. And we would like to win.
And hopefully one of you guys wins too, but let's be clear.
Right. Yeah, that's true. You can win stuff too.
Right.
But
like we'd love to see you all win something, but let's be clear. Brian and I are rooting for us.
Right. And there are probably some details we can pass along about how you win stuff. But more importantly, what we know is that if lots of you subscribe, we win. We'll get you the other details soon. But go ahead and subscribe, lockedondaily.com, to the Locked On Lakers newsletter. I just told you, you go to lockedondaily.com, you click on Locked On Lakers. So I'll even put it in the chat. Anyway, I think, we talked about going into this game, like it's not just a marquee matchup. With this Tuesday's game again in Oklahoma City, Wednesday, second night of a back-to-back, returning to Dallas for a game that they are going to be amped up for, to say the least. And then you come back on Friday and you got to play the Rockets again. The Lakers need to split that at best to really just avoid having to worry too much about the play-in game, because that is still the goal here. The Lakers go into this matchup. There were 2 games separating 3 through 8 in the Western Conference. That is still basically the case. Winning this game gives them a much better chance of staying out of the play-in, but also giving themselves, now a chance to stay higher in the standings. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's a mess. Hey, there's my niece. Hi. It's a really big deal for the Lakers, because they, with this tiebreaker over basically the entire Western Conference, other than the Thunder, who they can't catch anyway, so it doesn't matter.
They really can't catch the Rockets. I mean,
they can't. That's true.
They can, but it's unlikely.
It's unlikely. They can't, but it's unlikely. But it makes it so teams that tie them still lose. You got to jump at least one game ahead of the Lakers in order to actually pass them. Mm-hmm. And with a stretch like this, where they've got, one, but it began with 2 games against OKC, plus the Rockets, plus who's going to be a very motivated Mavericks team between their attempt to stay in the playoff race and also the whole, Luka's coming back to Dallas. Anthony Davis wants to prove to everybody that this wasn't the dumbest trade in the history of sports. Like, there is a lot going on, and even the Blazers are playing better of late and have something to play for. Every single game matters so much for the Lakers right now. And to know that during this stretch, they've already banked one of those wins, and they know they've got that on the ledger, psychologically makes a big difference. Like, it's similar to how the Dodgers this season, as defending World Series champions, and they went 1-for-1 in the Ohtani era. They, right out of the gate, they won a World Series. So much less pressure on the Dodgers this season, because they don't have to keep hearing about, can the Dodgers do this? Can they, the biggest payroll ever? Can they actually win a world? Like, they've done it. Doesn't mean there's no pressure, but the pressure is lessened. Same thing with the Lakers. Like, they still have to stay locked in for the rest of this season, but getting one of these wins out of the way is huge.
It really is. And this game notwithstanding, and I'll say the same thing if they beat them on Tuesday, come back and beat them again. I think you're better off not playing the Thunder until the Western Conference Finals. Just avoid them, as they've been so good for so long this season. Just see if you can pass that. There are teams that frighten me in the Western Conference. A healthy Clippers team, I think, is a little frightening, just because of what they're capable of defensively, with what that offense can do, and some of the matchup questions that are created. But the other advantage to finishing in 3 is that I don't think there's anybody who believes that Houston isn't beatable in the first round. I don't think it would surprise people to see them beat any of the teams that they could play. But if I told you
they're
Clippers,
pretty good, Houston's pretty
very good. They're very good. But so are,
so are all these teams,
right? The 7 seed could be the Clippers. It could be, Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves. It could be the Warriors. Like, if you told me that, we'll say Golden State beat Houston in the first round, or the Clippers beat Houston in the first round, like, that wouldn't shock anyone. not because Houston is fool's gold, but because those other teams are, basically 50 win caliber teams, 50 something win caliber teams. And so I think you give yourself the best chance of hosting two first playoff matchups in those first two rounds if you finish in third, because there is a reasonable chance that Houston could get upset. And while, I don't necessarily want to make the matchups hard. Like, how do you avoid a hard matchup in the Western Conference this year? Win as many games as you can, get whatever advantages that you can get, and roll from it there. Because look, the Lakers have shown they can beat anybody in the West this year. Denver isn't as scary as they used to be. There's no reason to try to avoid a team this year.
Well, there's no reason to try to avoid a team, and frankly, they can't. Like, everything is too tight, basically from the Lakers down, to attempt any type of finagling. We talked about before, FAFO. Before you know it, you try to get too cute, and all of a sudden you are fighting to stay out of the play-in, or you actually land there because you were trying to have too much of your cake and eat it too. Just The best thing about this setup for the Lakers is if they keep winning, they're going to be just fine is exaggeration. You still got to go through the whole playoffs, but they're going to be just fine for setting themselves up for the playoffs.
Yes.
That's the first step, trying to put yourself in the best position possible. There's one last thing I wanted to bring up about this game that I think just is emblematic of how top to bottom, I think every Laker who stepped on the floor for like real rotation minutes played well. Like, I don't think there was a single Laker tonight that got real rotation minutes before garbage time that didn't play somewhere between pretty well to exceptionally well.
Connect stepped in, hit that corner three,
Jordan Goodwin got only 7 minutes of non-garbage time PT, but there were enough memorable moments for Goodwin in this game that it felt like he played more. Like, I remember when I looked at the box score, I was like, oh, wow, he's only played 7 minutes.
Yeah.
But Goodwin did a lot of good things in those 7 minutes. He had multiple rebounds. He had multiple hustle plays that you expect from Goodwin. Like, he hit a shot or two. Like, he did good things in a short amount of time that it felt like he was on the floor longer. And you could, this was a really good bounce back game for Jackson Hayes, who's been pretty quiet over the last few. Hayes was very good today. The Lakers did a better job, or just found different ways to get him back to being that lob threat that he had been before. And we've talked about when Hayes is able to maintain that vertical spacing, it opens up a lot for this team. We talked about Rui's defense. It was a good game for Rui on both sides of the ball. We really didn't even get a ton into Austin and LeBron, but they were both very good. Like,
everybody was good. I mean, you don't beat the Thunder by 27 without everybody being good.
It just was. This was one of the most complete games this team has had all season. It was really, really fun to watch.
It was. Before we go, I do want to note that a couple people saw, if you're watching on YouTube, saw my daughter poke her head in. They were asked, how many kids you got, all that stuff. So I have 2 boys and 1 girl. And it was pointed out that is exactly like LeBron. LeBron also has 2 boys and a girl, with the girl being the youngest, to which I said, and it's true, it's just one of the many things that LeBron and I have in common.
What?
Yeah. LeBron has more than that?
Oh, he has... LeBron. Oh, LeBron has. Yeah, no, you're correct. LeBron. Yes. Okay, sorry, I misheard. Part.
One of the many things, things that LeBron and
Yes.
I have in common.
Yes.
So Locked On Lakers on YouTube, Andy, is where you can go to hang out with 34,000 very happy Lakers fans this afternoon. Of course, again, sign up. Go to LockedOnDaily.com and sign up for the newsletter. And we will be back all week. Big week of games for the Lakers. And we'll see everyone tomorrow.